Other interesting cultural news, you have Marlboro selling their Bud Light stock for $2.2 billion, which is a pretty penny to say the least. Now, this was first reported thanks to BBC News, thanks to Peter Hodgkins, and it looks like the company is finally selling their stake. Now, Marlboro, this best well-known intellectual property that the company owns. The parent company was renamed to Altria a couple of years ago, and they had a couple businesses from the traditional tobacco legacy brands like Marlboro that everyone knows and some people love, and then they have other things like they invested heavily in the vaping community or the vaping industry, since that was, and it still is, pretty viral and growing in popularity. And they also invested in alcohol. Now it looks like they sold about 35 million shares of the stock, which again correlated to $2.2 billion, which is quite a bit to say the least. Now it looks like specifically they say the tobacco giant currently owns a stake of 10% in the world's biggest brewer, worth $12.7 billion. And when asked for comment, Altria's chief executive Billy Gifford said, quote, "The sale is, quote, an opportunistic transaction that realizes a portion of substantial substantial return on the long-term investment." He also added, "Our continued investment reflects ongoing confidence in ABI's long-term strategies, premium global brands, and experienced management team," unquote. He said that with a straight face, apparently, because again, the people at the Bud Light marketing department thought it was a good idea to try to sell beer to kids by giving again Dylan Mulvaney $185,000 for a custom can that had Dylan's face on it. It said, "Celebrating 365 days of womanhood. Dylan and his biological man," and they paid this individual $185,000 to lose $1.4 billion in sales. That is the biggest negative ROI in history, and I almost sound like Harrison Ford every time I say this. That can with Dylan's face on it, it belongs in a museum. I hope it never gets destroyed, just for the marketing business history. And also the great example of knowing your customers, not alienating them, and not trying to sell alcohol to kids. Because again, Dylan's average, when you look at Dylan's TikTok, the audience perspective, and the average user on TikTok is about 15 years old. That makes no sense logically. And Alyssa Heiderchild was the brilliant, well, I say that obviously ironically, she was the VP of marketing at Anheuser-Busch InBev when she actually had videos where she said, well, she thinks the Bud Light brand is too fratty. Hilariously enough, pictures of her were leaked where she was drinking beer from a prophylactic in college, the epitome of fratty, and she thought it'd be a good idea to hire Dylan Mulvaney, which again has lost them about 30% of their sales for the Bud Light brand specifically. It's the biggest business blunder I've seen in my lifetime when it comes to a marketing campaign failing. So it is hilarious that he's saying, oh yeah, they got an experienced management marketing team. Really? And again, also a lot of the marketing team prior to the incident were also headquartered in places that traditionally wouldn't drink a lot of Bud Light. When you look at places like New York City, and I think they have some in Los Angeles. I don't know how you really pronounce it. Los Angeles, if you feel so inclined. But a lot of people also blame Bud Light for not being in touch with the customer. And the marketing that they're doing now is rudimentary at best. They're really just copying what used to work, and again, that's not going to work. They're doing the same thing, expecting to get a different result. It's not going to happen. They shot themselves in the foot so bad, worse than perhaps Ron DeSantis shot himself in the foot with a 50 cal with his presidential campaign, with terrible marketing. Again, some good policies, but terrible marketing, and yet Bud Light has still not been able to recover. Now, it looks like Belgian-based Anheuser-Busch InBev also said in filing regulators that agreed to buy 200 million of its shares from Altria. So again, it looks like they also know that annual sales in the U.S. fell by 9.5% for, oh my gosh, that is terrible. Primarily due to, and again, they note that primarily due to the decline in Bud Light. Now, they also note that globally, Anheuser-Busch InBev saw revenue increase by 7%. It looks like the profit was still $6.1 billion in profit. So again, they're never going to go out of business. They own 40 plus beer brands. And again, they are still making 70% of the sales as they used to. But again, they're hiring all these people. But really, in the US, the Bud Light brand really isn't resonating with folks. It's not increasing in popularity. It's certainly not increasing in sales. So I think the stock did recover a little bit. So I think that's why Marlboro said, or Altria, parent company, they said, hey, the stock's back up a little bit. Let's sell it now. A lot of people are selling their stock these days. Everyone from Jeff Bezos to, I think it was also the Walton family, or the family that owns Walmart. a lot of the biggest stock owners are selling stock these days. A lot of people are wondering maybe it's indicative of a bad 2024 year at the stock market. Again, not financial advice, just some speculation I've read on the internet. Although the internet's awesome, you can't lie there. Ha, it's a joke because obviously. But let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a good time to sell your stock? It's not fully recovered, but it's close. So if you go to InBev stock, and it's about $60.63 per share. Not granted, by the time this video is actually rendered and uploaded, probably changed because it's the stock market. But if you look at like the year trend, it's nearly break even, a little bit better. It's about 2.04% increased over the past year. Now, year to date, down 5%, but past 6 months is up 6.58%. They actually do pay dividends, coming in at 1.3% dividend yield rate. So it'll be interesting to see. Altria adds too much share. Okay. Repurchase. Let's see here. Anheuser-Busch lifting earnings to stake. So maybe Altria is just building up their war chest, so their war fund, getting some extra cash on hand in case the economy goes bad, even worse. But let me know, do you think this is a good time for them to sell? Because again, it's not an all-time low. It's certainly not an all-time high. And I'll just actually pull out the statistics really quick in terms of those two numbers really quick. Or at least, 52 weeks. So the 52-week high was $67.09 per share. 52-week low was $51.66 per share. So again, it's about the middle. So, and again, given they bought the stock years ago, they probably are still making a profit on it. But I can't help but think, I think a lot of people are just losing faith in it. You have a couple folks, I think it's partially driven by emotions and political rhetoric. You have people like Bill Gates who are investing in the company. I believe they bought about $96 million of Anheuser-Busch InBev stock last quarter. But as always, let me know. It'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, take the time to give me a like or thumbs up or thumbs down. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, as well as sharing the video to help the YouTube algorithm. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.